of its own, because
correct, yes,
now the Supreme Court, all the six judges recused yes. themselves
correct, yes.
from listening to a case that had been presented. It involves the former president, the late Daniel Arap Moi's family, estate, and one of the parties was being represented by Ahmed Nasir, and according to the judges, Ahmed Nasir has not been speaking so romantically towards the Supreme Court, and so they said they will not listen to him. What do you make of that?
Well, I think to start with, Fred, this is something that has not happened in Kenya for a very long time. We have never seen such kind of things. For that kind of a judge, you know, the high ranking, and they are told you cannot come here. It is actually something which is quite interesting, and we are really looking forward to see how it is going to be like. But by and large, the court has actually the authority.
The court has the authority?
It has the authority. It can be able to do what it is doing. It has actually that. In terms of, for example, one of the things that they are saying is, you are coming to the court that you don't believe in. You are coming to the court that you are actually talking against it. So they are feeling it is like you are demeaning the court itself.
But what happened to the freedom of speech? I can express myself. I may not have confidence in the presidency of this country, but at the same time, because it is the presidency that is in place, I have no option. When I want to do something that the presidency requires to append signature to, I have to go to them.
No, actually that is within your own light.
Yes.
At least everybody has the light in terms of constitution, light of communication, it is there. But also, in terms of your profession, you see, even in the media, there is the way you can talk. I always see, even in the media, you say, this is not my statement. Even in this kind of a show, there are some things that we can discuss about, and you say, this is not the opinion of the station. Because there is the code. There is actually code of ethics. What you have actually agreed that there are some things you can do, and there are some things you cannot do. I think what is happening is that Ahmed has gone, according to the court, he has gone beyond. That if, for example, you have an issue with the court, what you should do is actually, the court of law, you go and present evidence. You don't just prosecute the court in the streets. And that is exactly what he is doing in the social media and all those kind of things. So they are looking at that in terms of their code of ethics. Is it really what we are supposed to do as the judges and the lawyers and all these kind of things, which they are finding that he is off. And therefore, that's why you are finding that, given that they have the authority to bar, I think it is something that they had not done for quite a long time. But I think it has come to a time whereby they are saying, yes, you have the rights, but again, have you looked at what really your career says, what you can do and what you cannot do?
Don't you think it's a little bit petty? Because it feels as though the Supreme Court is acting from its emotions. Or you said something about us, so we will not listen to you. If the entire leadership institution basically operated from that, or you don't trust in my leadership, you said something about my leadership, so don't come to me for service. It appears a little bit petty.
Well, I can agree with you what you are saying. Actually, it can look like that. But what I am saying, you see, like even like the EBN, let me just refer to the EBN. There is actually where the responsibility sits. Anybody can say whatever they want to say, but there is a person who is at the top here, or there are people at the top there. They must control. There is the checks and controls about what happens. For example, if a judge at that caliber can be able to talk that way about the court, what about Wajiko, who is down there? What confidence would they get about the court?
But look at it from this perspective. For as long as I can remember, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has been speaking so negatively about the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court judges. And in fact, even after the last election, he said the Supreme Court had been compromised. We didn't see that kind of action being taken against him. Ahmed Nasir comes into play and says whatever he has said, and all of a sudden the Supreme Court has power, has jurisdiction to bar him from seeking its service. How come they've not exercised the same level of justice when it comes to statements by Raila Odinga?
Let me tell you, actually this is biblical. You know the teachers?
Yes.
There is a position that you get in terms of your judgment. When it comes to you being judged, it is more stricter than any other person.
Yes.
Why? It is because, you see, like Honorable Raila, by the way, he can say anything. He is not actually in that profession. He is a politician.
Yes.
So he can say anything. But you know what I am saying, even for this show, I can come and say anything.
Yes.
But there are some things you cannot say.
Yes,
because you know, some of the things that you say, tomorrow, CAK will be on you.
Yes.
And they tell you, you have gone against the codes of ethics in terms of the media. But for me, they are actually looking at me as a layman. I do not really understand what is the code of ethics in terms of the media and all these kind of things. So when they come to determining what I am saying and what you are saying, I can tell you, if you say, you will be judged stricter than me. Because at least they are assuming you, because you are actually in that media, you already know what are the do's and what are the don'ts. And therefore you fight, they will not treat the politicians the same way they are treating their colleagues. And that is the reason as to why you fight. Even the president, like the current president, sitting president, he had actually said so many things, the same things actually at the same level, as the same weight, even a little bit heavier than what Ahmed's talked about. But there is nothing that has been done to him. In fact, instead of anything being done to him, the Supreme Court, the total authority, is actually seeking to have audience with the president. Why? It is because they are actually differentiating who is who. As for you, you are actually someone who knows to do what is the right. What is it that is in this whole thing? But you are not doing it. So what I think they are doing, although we are going to see it as we continue in the days, but what I know is because many people have not looked what the Supreme is doing, the Supreme Court is doing. Is it within their mandate? It is. Actually, there is a section that talks about it very well. And therefore, what we are saying is they can invoke anything. If they find that you are becoming rogue, you are actually now tainting and bringing a bad picture about the courts. What they will not allow you to come before them and you are actually feeling another thing about them. Because you'll come, a judgment is done, what will you do? You'll go to the streets and say, we would not have expected anything different. Because these kind of guys are like that. So I think they are also, I know there is a different opinion about it, but I think from where they are coming from, they are trying to put law and order in terms of that profession. Because I can tell you, we have come from far. Whereby, you see, like even Honorable Raila, when the court favors him, he is celebrating and saying good things about them. When the president, William Ruto, when the courts are actually saying this one continue, they are celebrating. So you find people are doing that, but they are saying, for you who has gone to the school of law, and for you who understands the do and don't, even in this church where we are, hosted here, there are some things which if I do, I can tell you, they will not be easy. They will not be good. Because I know what it really means. There are some
what is expected within this space.
Correct. You see, like now, if there are some pronouncements to be made, at my level, I have an authority on top of me. I cannot just go one day, I wake up and I go and tell the congregation, this is the direction that we are going to follow.
Yes.
Why? It is because the authority, there is one authority that has to speak. And what I am finding is, if we allow everybody, especially in the profession that we are in, everybody just to be talking anything, it is going to be a disaster. And I can tell you, that's how we are going to make the courts and the judges and the judgments to look like there is nothing.
But now, in this particular case, now look at it from a client perspective. The client who is being represented by Ahmed Nasir is being denied justice because he believes that he is best represented by a particular person. This person is qualified, he has legal rights, I mean, he has fulfilled everything that needs to be fulfilled for him to operate within that level. But now he's being denied his choice of representation because the judges, well, they feel offended by what was said. It is denying me justice. Next, you're going to hear a magistrate who is going again to go against and establish a rule whereby lawyers are not allowed to express themselves against the judges because you do that and the judge will bar you from appearing before their courts. It's setting a bad precedent.
Let me tell you, you have heard this statement all the time.
Yes.
That choices have consequences. You know why I'm telling you like that?
Yes.
You remember there is another judge. Is it a judge or even a judge? Chitembwa.
Yes. The one who was debarred there.
Yes. You know he had clients.
Yes, he did.
But when he was investigated, it was convincing to the judges that this guy has actually done what is contrary to the code of ethic in terms of this law business. You know what happened is right now he cannot practice.
Yes.
The thing is, anything can happen to a judge. You can actually go like the way we are here. You can actually, you know, you can remember even you can actually go and do bad things. You can even go and shoot. You can go and do what? And I can tell you can be stopped. And you are told we are not going because you've done. Even the judges can actually be taken to jail.
Yes.
The question that we are asking, if for example a judge is taken to the jail, what would happen?
Lord have mercy on him.
Yes, what will happen?
He has taken,
Yes, because the clients are there. So what we are saying is, if, for example, there are no laws, there is no discipline in a particular sector, such that anybody can do whatever they want, you know what will happen? The judges will be above law. That they can do anything and they go about it. Let me say, when one is speaking, they need to understand what is the consequences of what I am doing. Because can I tell you, Ahmed Nasir, he is a guy who understands laws like...
Yeah, he's been in the LSK chair.
Yes.
He's been the JSC.
Correct. So he understands the consequences of what we are saying. And it is unfortunate that the clients, sometimes they are inconvenienced. But the thing is, you see, they have choices also, the clients. I know sometimes what you are saying is true. Sometimes you feel this judge is actually a good judge and he would be able to actually make me at least argue out my case in a better way than any other person.
Yes.
So it is quite unfortunate what is happening, but what we are saying is there need to be checks and balances also in terms of what we are doing. So it is not that because you have client that you just think that you can run away with anything. So it is actually a point whereby the Supreme Court is actually speaking something.
Basically what the Supreme Court judges are saying, I'm imagining Ahmed Nasir having been in the LSK, having been in the Judicial Service Commission,
correct, yes,
knows a lot about what is happening within the Supreme Court.
Correct.
And the Supreme Court judges.
That is true.
And so if he knows there is corruption within the Supreme Court, precincts, It simply means you will know, but you cannot say.
You will
and
know.
then you cannot take them before, you cannot go before them to accuse them, because you go to the JSC, they still sit there. So you cannot, they're basically a law unto themselves.
No, you see, what they are saying is that, like the same way, you see, anybody can be taken anywhere.
Yes.
You see, like the way there is a DCI and all that, there is a process. If, for example, you find that this particular judge is corrupt in one way or another, there is a process that you can get to. There is a DCI, there is all that. You know, these are the things that the judges are saying. Why don't you follow the process? Take the people to where they are going to be investigated.
Yes.
And when they have been investigated, bring it now. In fact, it is not you who will bring it, because you have actually reported that there is a corrupt deal which is happening here. The authorities, the people who are responsible, are going to take up that case. And when they take that case, they are going now to see whether there is any need for you to be taken forward, or it was just a rumor. So what they are trying to say, and I think that is how CJ actually even told the president. He told him, bring the facts. Because we don't just operate by just saying. Let me say, Fred, if we operate on hearsays, most of us would be in jail. Why? It is because there are so many people who don't like you.
True.
Why they don't like you is because they can see that the EBN is growing very fast. So what will they do? They will see the man who is making EBN to grow very fast is Fred. So what is the best way to do? Is just to look for something, coin something for Fred, and Fred is actually put somewhere in a custody. And from there, he will not be able actually now, we are going to destabilize the EBN or something like that. So what we are saying is that let's follow the process, because there are processes which are there. And that is what even the CJ is actually telling the president. And actually that's why you have seen when they had a meeting, they have agreed on some few things. It is not sitting well with some people, but I think what she is doing and why she had to do it, even after a lot of noise. You remember many people actually told her, you should not go. And
actually, because I was jumping to that next, the Supreme Court is now being accused, or the judiciary is now being accused of going to bed with the executive, because the executive was threatening. I remember last week, but the deputy president had actually saying that he was going to go to court against a particular judge. But that definitely didn't happen, and I guess it had everything to do with the meeting that was coming up.
Correct,
So the judiciary is being accused by the opposition now that they've gone to bed with the executive, and so parliament is gone, because parliament is basically Kenya Kwanza. Now, according to the opposition, judiciary is gone, and so now we are left to everybody to his own, God for us all.
Actually, they have varied points, I would say, because that is not what was envisaged in terms of our constitutions. These, all these bodies are supposed to be quite independent. But I can tell you they are independent on the paper, but when it comes to the real thing, they are not independent. That's why you are actually saying, like the legislators, the legislative arm, you are saying already it is skewed towards it is gone towards a direction. Why? It is actually independent on paper, but when it comes to practicability, it is not independent. I can tell you, it is not this time that it is like that. It has been like that in politics. Every other government comes, and do you know what they do? Why I want to tell you there is no independence. You remember the honorable members of parliament being paid 10,000 in the toilet to make a different decision. And it is a woman who is actually carrying, and he was not even a politician for a very long time. But as long as he has money, she is able to go and convince, you vote for this, this 10,000 is your money. So what kind of independence is that? People don't have independent mind. They are being driven by their self-interest. And that's why we are saying there is actually no independence in that. So the thing is,
we don't have institutions in Kenya that are independent.
Actually, let me tell you, even the DCI right now, it is not independent. And that is actually a disaster. It is a bad position. But it is what? We are on leadership challenge. It is actually what we call the poor leadership. Because people don't look at what is the right thing to do. What they are looking at, what can put us in power, what can retain us in power. So these are the things of independence or no independence. They don't care about them. And I can tell you, you see like the judiciary.
Yes.
Judiciary, is it the time that it is actually now we are saying that it is not independent? It has been like that.
Has it ever been independent?
That is the question I am asking.
Maybe during Mutunga's time.
Maybe, but I can tell you even during that time there were elements.
Yes.
There were some few pockets here and there which were not independent. So I am saying it is something that we need to teach ourselves as Kenyan people, that we need to have integrity. Because what is lacking is the integrity. People look at other things more than having the integrity to say no and to say yes to the things that really matter. And that's why we are saying at the end of the day right now, opposition, they will actually see the judiciary as independent when they favor to their, they rule to their favor.
Yes.
So this is how politics goes, and we are in bad politics.
Are you saying then the biggest undoing to the leadership in this country is raping the institutions, whereby the judiciary, the executive, the legislature, none of them are independent the way the framers of the Constitution had envisaged, and therefore, because they are now in a marriage of some sort, the people who are suffering is the entire country.
It is. By the way, let me tell you, anything bad that happens, anything that you see the politician do, it really affects the Kenyan people in a very big way. Because these guys, by the way, they are not affected as much as the common man. They will actually, you see some of them, for them to buy their independence, they are actually given monies. They will fight that maybe some of the MPs. Why is it that they are not becoming independent? It's because they want the executive to come and pronounce, we are going to raise this pack, we are going to give you this, we are going to give you this. So what are they looking at? Are they looking at you? No. They are actually looking at how is it that I can empower my economic status. That is what...
Their God is, like Paul was saying.
Yes.
I said this morning that their God is their belly.
I tell you, 100%. And when you see even the word of God talk about it, it is because there are so many people who are not bothered about you. And I can tell you, right now, do you know there are some MPs that are misusing even the CDF?
Yes.
You find someone is actually paying for things which are not supposed to be paid there, yet there are some Kenyans who are actually suffering. You know, I looked at the TV just another day. A girl has actually been admitted in a school. She has gotten 370 marks. And you can imagine, like this year, last year, 370 is something which is quite high. And you find this girl has not joined the school. Yet there are some MPs from where she comes from. And this is not only one person. There are so many people. And you look at it and you ask yourself a question. Why would this kind of a girl literally not go to school when we have leaders who can be able to hear until you come to EBN?
Yes.
And you hear that story, you bring that girl here. That is when someone will actually say, hey, this one is going to look bad on me, so let us give this person
they're not
money.
helping because it's good to help. It is because it's not going to look good on them.
Correct. That is the thing. That is exactly what we are saying. And I can tell you, it is actually a bad situation. Leaders, especially in Kenya, they have been bought many times. So
what do we do to restore the independence of these institutions back to them? What needs to happen? Because every other election, there's a promise, like, you know, President William Ruto actually vowed and said that, you know, every institution is going to be independent. The DCI is going to be independent. The ODPP is going to be independent. But we have seen some things maybe slipping through the fingers that reveal that independence was maybe just a statement that was made.
I can tell you, for many leaders, independence is just a statement. And I will tell you, what we need to do is to get to Maraga moments. And that is one man who actually is full of integrity and independence even in mind. If you are not independent in your mind, you can write very many articles. You can write whatever you want, but without having the independence in your mind, there is nothing that will happen. I will give you something about why I'm saying Maraga moments. This is one man who has been very consistent. And that's why I'm saying still there is hope. And you started by actually talking about hope in the morning.
Hope, yes.
There is hope that things can change. We have seen some few men who have stood on the point of truth. And one of these person in this country is CJ, former Maraga. When he was actually a judge in Mombasa, this man stood against all odds. You know what happened? There are some people who wanted to import, I think it is either maize or rice or sugarcane, something like that. And it was actually something which was actually big. It had actually like almost 30 million, a lot of money actually at that particular time. It was not yesterday, it was quite some time. So it was actually a huge amount of money. And you know, when Maraga was actually making the determination, he sat down and he said, I am not going to allow this to come. These people, the people who are bringing in this commodity to the country, they knew afraid of CJ Maraga. So what do? They say, you are a very good friend of CJ Maraga.
Go and find how much is, what's his price.
In fact, they said, go and see what is his price. And this judge told them, this man has no price. And they said, there is no man without a price. Because you see, this is actually the mentality that people have in their head.
Yes.
That everybody can be actually be corrupted, you know, compromised and all these things. But this guy told them, as far as I know this man, he has no price. And I can tell you for sure, he doesn't have a price. Yes. You can see some of the determinations he has made. You remember the Maraga time?
Yes.
When actually for the first time, the presidential, the presidents who are actually fighting to be the president, they were told, go back. Go back. There is no other time that a case had actually gone to Supreme Court and it was said, go back, especially for the top.
Yes.
And that's why you realize that former President Uhuru, he says, we will revisit. We will revisit. Yes. And you can imagine how it was for CJ Maraga. But even when he was not being invited, even for the occasions. You go to the State House, there is an occasion. Maraga is not invited. And he did not care. He did not bother. Why? Because integrity is the most important key things. So what people need to do, we need to stand for the truth. And we need some few remnant, some few people. Because let me tell you, change doesn't come from multitude. Change comes from some few people who are determined in their mind that we must bring a change in all these things.
If the president himself decided, because I remember during the late President Mwai Kibaki, when he took over, immediately took over the reins of power, there was a lot of hope in the country, and Kenyans were actually rated the most hopeful people in the world. And during that time, because of the rhetoric that was going on, people were arresting police officers in the streets who were taking bribe.
Correct, yes.
So, if the president today demonstrated by action and not by words that he is against corruption, would we see that cascading?
Yes, and that is exactly what we are saying right now. If one man brought soberness in the legal fraternity, that is CJ Maraga. The president himself, who has everything. You know, there at Kasarani, what did he do?
He received
the sword.
Yes.
And it is not just a sword, it is the authority. And he showed to all the Kenyans, this is it, I have gotten it. There is no other better place, Fred, I tell you, than from the president's place, whereby he can say, I don't care whether I go back in 2027. What I care is that I want to be known as one term, if it happens. I want to be known as one-term president by doing what is right. So we are saying the responsibility lies with the president right now. I know he has talked about so many things. He has talked about 3 things. All those kind of things.
Yes.
And that's why we are saying he is talking too much. But we want to see more of action. If he says it is going to happen, it doesn't matter what it is coming from. Like now, I remember another time, Murkomen.
Yes.
He was being mentioned. You remember? And he was being mentioned by someone from his party.
Yes, and in fact, in front of the president.
Imagine, that is the thing that I am saying. If, for example, there is that kind of a thing, the president, and I remember there is actually, I don't know where the problem came in, during the Uhuru time. You know, Uhuru had started it actually. You remember even Gilu herself was actually told, step aside.
Yes.
Quite a number of prominent people were told to step aside until their case is determined and every other thing. I think that was actually a good start, whereby we could feel that there is something that is happening. But right now, there is a lot of talk. And we are challenging the president that we need to see if there are some things that are happening and there is fact, let people step aside and let's start seeing action. You cannot go and just saying that there are some brokers who are actually making things not to happen and all these kind of things, like even the sugar industry and all that. Up to now, we have not actually seen
anyone being arrested.
Yes. You see, that is where we are saying we have a serious problem. And I'm saying it is actually whereby it is not just the mouth. In fact, the Bible talks about guarding your mouth. Because sometimes you talk too much and in many words, there is a lot of many bad things. And we need to be very careful that speak less, but action more. And this is where we are saying we are calling upon the president
to put his money where his mouth is.
Correct. That is the thing. You said it very well.
we have a situation.
Yes.
I was going through, and one of the things, and still connected to the judiciary, there's a doctor from Nakuru who's going to court. And he's challenging the tax laws in this country. And in particular, he is challenging the exemption of tax on tithes and offering. And I was wondering in my mind, why in the world would he go just for this particular thing? But he's gone to court, he's presented, so it's a case that is going to be heard because he is demanding that churches pay tax on all revenues that they receive, just like the rest of the world.
You know, I am a pastor.
Yes.
When I am not actually pastoring.
Like I told you, Pastor David wears so many hats. If we put them here, I don't think this table will be sufficient to hold them.
So when I am not actually pastoring, I am actually dealing with financials. And I'm dealing with the tax matters and many other things. I can tell you, one of the things in tax is what we call equity. And why you are finding very many people are actually, let me first of all start with that history a bit. When you find very many people are against the housing levy, it is because they are saying this levy, there is no equity.
I'm paying, but I'll never benefit from it.
Other people are not paying, but they are actually
benefiting from
supposed
what
to
I
be
pay.
the ones, what they are doing. And that's why you are finding there is a lot of issues about it. Because in terms of the tax law, equity is the number one. And why you are finding this doctor going to the court about the churches, I can say that we are the cause of the problem.
When you say we as the church.
Yes, as the church. And I will explain why. Yes. We are the problem. Mm-hmm. You know, if you look at the lifestyles of the pastors, many pastors and some of the bishops, they are actually the one who are going with, in fact, you may actually, sometimes you may look at a pastor or even an apostle, and you wonder, is it the president who is passing? Or is it who, because he has, like now, 5 escort cars. He has the police and many other people. In fact, when he is going for a crusade, you find that there is the police. Everybody is being thrown out of the way. So when they look at that lifestyle, they realize that these people are making enough money. Because how do they sustain this kind of a lifestyle? If you go to like the MP, he is actually getting this security to be paid by the government, actually the taxpayers' money.
Yes.
But imagine that you are fighting what is happening in terms of the pastoral and the ministry, in terms of the ministry. So they are the ones actually who have attracted and who are attracting the question about, isn't there a lot of money? These guys are getting a lot of money. And actually it has been happening. The churches are supposed to be paying taxes. If, for example, even I'm earning a salary, do you know actually I'm not exempted? Because there is actually people who are exempted from paying taxes. Pastors are not exempted from paying taxes. So this guy, what he is talking about is actually something which is in the tax laws. It is really nothing which is so. It is only that many times, many churches never used to keep records. But you know what is going to happen after some time? I will tell you, for sure. KRA is going to come like to churches. And they will ask you, can I see your books? If you don't have books, what they will do, and that is what they do, they come to your service several times. And they will listen to you talk. And they will see the membership. And they will do a bit of a calculations.
They estimate, okay, this number of people, this.
Yes, they say. And you know what they will do? They will tell you, do your own self-assessment. Or if you don't do your own self-assessment, we are going to assess and tell you how much money you are supposed to pay. So I think the thing is, the issue is not for the churches to pay the tithes. I think what is bringing about, in fact, even for you, there are so many taxes you may not be paying right now. There are some monies you are making, but you are not paying taxes. And that is where we are saying not everybody pays taxes, but people are supposed to pay. But the thing is, what we are asking a question, why is it that there are some and the KIA are not on your case? It is because you don't go shouting. You don't go showing people that this is actually Fred. I own this, I own that. So what they will happen is that if you keep on now touting what you own, what will happen is that they will actually go, see, they have the pin for Fred. They will go and say, this man who has been touting that he has a lot of money.
How much does he pay?
And that is where the rain starts beating. So I can tell you why he is doing that is because of the lifestyle that we have actually set. We have put another lifestyle, and their feeling is that there is no equity. They are feeling that why is it is only us building this country, yet this country belongs to the pastors, this country belongs to the lawyers, this country belongs to, Mama Boga and every other thing. So for him, I know where he is going is about the equity. But what I am saying at the end of the day, all the churches, they need to keep their books. Even Jesus, one time he said, pay Kaisari what belongs to him. So some of these things, actually I can tell you, it is only that we are fighting corruption in this country, but all of us, we should be happy when we are paying taxes and we are building the country. So what I would say is that the administration of taxes is where we need to see. Let the taxes go to the right use. Let's not be wasteful in terms of the government. But I would say, Fred, this country cannot be built by 3 million people. When we are actually like people who are earning are over 20 million. We need to see every other person participating. Why is it that I am saying that? Do you know why we are being overtaxed? It is because only few people are paying taxes. if we can actually, all of us, be able to pay a little share of what we are supposed to pay, taxes would come down and revenue would go up.
Yes.
So these issues of some few people paying and other people are out,
paying, yes.
it is actually what is causing the problem. If we want to see the economy of this country grow, it will not grow by overtaxing the companies. It will not grow by taxing the people who are in white-collar jobs. It is going to grow when everybody says, I will do what I am supposed to do. I will pay what I am supposed to pay. You know, yesterday I was actually doing a bit of, I also paid yesterday some few taxes here and there.
Yes.
I am a pastor, but I am paying some taxes, you know. Why is it that I am paying taxes? Because I know this is one way of building my country. So someone was actually yesterday asking me, so you do this and you don't pay. I told them I will not pay. When I paid the amount that I paid yesterday, someone actually felt so bad. The person left my office and told
in protest.
me. Yes, and you know what they were telling me?
Yes.
Do you know what you have paid? You would have bought a small car. So why is it? Why didn't you even give me this money?
Yes.
And I reduce what you are paying, and I started driving a car.
Yes.
Look at the mentality that people have. But you see what I am saying, really, I have an obligation to pay. And that's why I'm saying I paid when I was happy. Because they are not asking me for it. It is just like the issue of tithe.
Yes.
You know, many people, sometimes they actually, the Bible talks about a 10% out of the 100%.
Yes.
But you know, people also still have a problem of paying the 10% because people want to get everything. But I would say the lifestyle that we have put ourselves is what is making some few people to feel that these guys are supposed also to be paying taxes. And that's why he is going there. But I can say, bottom line, let every Kenyan pay the right amount of taxes they are supposed to pay. It will help to build the economy. If we continue this way, I can tell you, Fred, we are going to go around, you know, talk about the economy is bad, talk about that we cannot have roads, talk about that we cannot have children. Like now, you remember even the president has said that they have released 62 billion to go to school. Yes. Now look at that. How do you want all these things to be done when actually you know that I can be paying some few coins here and there and that money will help in terms of the economy? Because I feel definitely politics, let's remove politics.
Yes.
Many countries have actually, even Singapore, they have built their countries by everybody participating in making sure that they develop their country with their small taxes. So one of the president, you remember, what he did is actually he lowered the taxes.
Yes.
But everybody said, we are going to rally and pay our taxes.
Yes.
When they started paying their taxes, the tax actually went even several folds than what they were struggling with.
Maybe that's a lesson we should learn as a country.
That is
so
the
that
thing.
We bring down the tax and encourage more people to be able to pay tax so that the tax base can increase and we get more money.
And you know what will happen? We will find many people now getting jobs. You know what is happening right now? I am in the corporate. Many organizations are laying people off. There are some companies, they went 50%. Paying from the time of COVID, they reduced the salaries of the employees to 50%. Some of them, they have not been able to go back to the full pay. So what we are saying, if, for example, we can be able, all of us, to pay some few amounts, you know what will happen? Is that this organization is not going to be overburdened by taxes. So it will not fire several people that they are projecting to fire because they are finding that we cannot be able to sustain these people. So when we are not paying taxes, we are creating crisis for ourselves. And when we pay taxes and the administration is poor, then again, that is where the problem is. So we are saying, we as Kenyans are ready to pay taxes, but the administrators, let them also take the honors of doing the right things. If we do that, this Kenya, it is going to be a beautiful place. We are going to develop our country and everybody will love it. And that is what I know. If we can come together, Kenya is going to be a beautiful place for all of us.
I see we have just a few minutes to go. One of the things that we had talked about is the IEBC, the almost constitutional crisis we're getting ourselves into.
Yes.
We don't have commissioners in place. We have by-elections that are supposed to be done, but there's nobody to run them.
Actually, that is actually a crisis by itself right now. And you know, the constitutions talks very much. If, for example, a seat is declared vacant, it gives the timeline as to when this seat should be declared, and then someone comes in.
Yes.
Do you know right now, the Speaker of the National Assembly is unable to declare the seats. Why? Because even if he declared today, there is nobody who is going to conduct. IEBC, and that's why we started by talking about independence. And I can tell you, look at it where the lane starts beating. Cherera 4. You remember the Cherera 4? You can see how is that, how was IEBC independent? Whereby you are fighting Cherera 4 and you are fighting some other people going towards this direction. You know, that's where the rain started beating. And things happened, and the country went into politics. And that's where I'm saying.
And we completely forgot about that.
We forgot. We came to NADCO. The talks. One of the things that was so serious is IEBC. You know, how it is going to be constituted. It was one of the main points. Let me ask you a question. We had lawyers. And we have very great lawyers in this country. Constitutional lawyers and all those kind of things. And you can see how far we have fallen. In the sense that we can have a vacuum. You remember the time they were saying there is no lacuna in the government. Look at it now. It is already there. It is a crisis actually. And let me tell you, God forbid, and God is good. And I love your words that you talked about. The hope, we have the hope for tomorrow. Why? Because of God. But I can tell you, if a serious thing happened in this country right now.
And we needed an election.
Can I tell you? Unaona the majeshi. We would actually go to being ruled by the majeshi for some time. Actually, what we are looking at is a serious crisis. That there is actually some positions, and God is good. At least we have not seen. If, for example, today, because the Constitution says how a president can be removed from his office, if today people actually get referendum and they say we are going to remove the president from his position, and they rally behind, and the Kenyans rally behind, and they say that you have been overruled, go home. Do you know what would happen in this country? We would not have a president for quite some time.
Because we don't have an IEBC. And in the past, the precedent that we have set as a people is that anytime we are talking about the IEBC, it becomes the hottest potato in town. Because every politician wants to have a piece of it so that he can control the election.
And that is exactly what we are saying. When you fight what you have said now, in fact, you have justified our motion. Whatever we have been talking about, your words have actually now, you have actually hit the nail at the right point. What we are saying is that you have said one thing, that people are looking for people in strategic positions. By doing what they are doing, independence goes. Literally, it goes. And that is exactly what have made us to be in this crisis. Because what people are doing, they want, I know Wamadhu, if Wamadhu is there, Fred is okay. At least I am okay. So they don't really look at me as being a professional. They are putting me there, safeguard our interest. When we start safeguarding our interests from that dimension, what happens? The independence is gone. And this is the serious thing. You see the NADICO, what was happening in terms of the talks and all those kind of things. Why? It is because there was actually, that process was ongoing. Do you remember?
Yes.
Actually, there was even a committee which was even to vet the IBC commissioners and all those kind of things.
Yes.
But it was stopped at one particular point. Why? We were actually supposed to have a dialogue.
Yes.
This dialogue, do you hear about NADICO nowadays?
It died.
It is actually, it has died.
Yes.
What you are finding now people doing, and I like what I am seeing in Azimio, is everybody now is in 2027. They are actually making their party to be stronger.
Yes.
They have forgotten about NADICO.
Yes.
In fact, we were told that the whole report has gone to the parliament.
Yes.
Wasn't it supposed to be
discussed and then,
yes, discussed, and we see things rolling out?
Yes.
But you see what? Today, why, when we started talking, what is coming last? It is the NADICO, isn't it? So we have talked about every other thing.
Yes.
NADICO is what has come as the last thing.
And it probably needs to be the first.
It is supposed to be the first.
Yes.
So I can tell you, the same way we have actually gone to the NADICO as the last thing is what is happening in the institution, in the government, and even in the opposition.
Yes.
It is coming last. Yet we are in crisis, but we cannot see. So that is whereby we are told we have eyes,
but we can't.
but we can't see. In terms of looking at someone, you are saying, Fred is seeing me. But really, I can tell you, he is not seeing me. In fact, your mind is so far that you are not even thinking about what I am talking about. Haven't you ever looked at someone and you are saying, this guy, why is he looking at me?
But he's just, his eyes are there, but his focus is not on you.
Yes, I remember. I remember. Yesterday we were being told about a woman and a man, husband and wife. And we were told that when the pastor was preaching, he actually said one thing. He said, let all the women who don't have husband, they are called what?
The widows.
The widows. Yes. Let all the widows stand. Yeah. There is a man here and the wife here.
She stood.
And she stood. And then everybody, actually even the man, tried to pull the wife and telling her, see, I'm here. Why are you standing? And she refused, literally, she refused to sit down.
Yes.
And then the pastor looked at her and realized, no, this woman is not a widow. She has actually a husband here. Yes. And the pastor actually told the woman, sit down. Yes. You have a husband there. Yes. And she told the pastor, I have heard you very well. So what I am doing, yes, I am doing it, yes, because I know what I am doing. Yes. Because I am actually like seemingly, yes, when people look at me, yes, they feel it is like I am married. Yes. But in my heart, I know I'm not married. This man has been a terror to my life. And there is no way, yes, that he is my husband. Yes. So this is actually just someone to start there. But
Osama bin Laden.
Yes, you see, that's why now we are saying sometimes seemingly you may be seeing, you may think someone is seeing, but they are not seeing. Right now, I can tell you, there are so many things that people are thinking about and they are not thinking about the important things. Yes. And that's why you find the government getting to a crisis.
Sorry.
Getting into a crisis simply because they have turned their ears, they have turned their eyes in what is the most important thing. They are actually now, in fact, look at what has been happening this week. Yes. Honorable Raila. Yes. What has he been doing? He has actually been on the tour, yes, of making sure his party holds together. Yes. Look at someone like Kalonzo. He said from February onwards, my battle for presidency will be won in 2024. Yes. And he is on the ground, hitting, and actually looking for votes.
In 2024.
Yes, in 2024. You look at Mother Karua. He is saying, let all the presidential candidates be there. Tutajua bele. Unaona?
Yes.
So I can tell you,
yes,
we are not at the same place where we think. Sometimes we see as if we are there, but I can tell you we are not there. People are looking at different things.
True.
They are looking at the things which are only, the way you said, you started by saying, their stomach
is their God.
Their power. That is their God. But when it comes to the country, it is only some few remnant who will be able to start and say, we are going to make these things to move forward. So
and I'm glad you've finished by talking about a remnant, because indeed there is a remnant that has been set aside, and this remnant is going to transform the lives of people. We should care about what is happening around us. I like something. I met a young man yesterday as I bring the curtains down. This young man, long time ago, as I was coming to work, I would see him sleeping outside, just outside, not the church, near the school,
yes,
Buru High. He would be lying there, and I'd look at him and wonder, okay, what is this guy doing here? Then later on discovered that the guy was homeless. And I remember I was coming from work, and he followed me because he had seen me around, and we had spoken a little bit, and I told him, oh, yeah. And he tells me, there's pastors who saw him from here and discovered that he is homeless. And they took him. They got a home for him. They are paying rent for him.
Yes.
And he's been told he can always come, because there's a restaurant outside Redeemed Gospel
Correct.
Church, Buruburu.
Yes. Yes.
And he was told, food, come and eat. Take breakfast, take lunch, take supper. And when I heard that, you literally see the letter of Christ.
Correct.
Because you can see now, this person, if you ever tell this person that there is no love, they will never believe you.
Correct.
If you ever told them that Christians are this or that, he will never believe you, because he has seen the love of God being demonstrated to him.
That is true.
And that's what we need to do. Look around. There are children who are supposed to be in school today. They are not in school because their parents cannot be able to afford. If you can be able to do that, that's the best thing you can do.
Sure.
Take this child, help them out. Help them out. The seed you sow, somebody in your lineage will actually reap.
Correct.
So let us be mindful. Let's not allow our stomachs to become our God.
Correct.
Let's remember we've been put in this country at a time like this for a good reason, that we may manifest Christ and change things. That's what we are doing as EBN.
Sure.
Right now in Western Kenya, the message is going out. In a couple of maybe months or so, we had promised you we'll be in Kitui, we'll also be in Central. It is coming. And things are changing and changing fast, and lives are changing that fast.
Sure.
What do I say? Do have yourself a lovely morning. Daughters of the King are coming up later on in the day, and they will discuss matters kingdom and the role that the woman plays within that space. Because without the woman in the space, then we have a big problem.
Sure.
So do have yourself a lovely morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor.
Thank you very much, Fred.
every Saturday from